from all over the world. Local consumer prices continue to hover at the 2% rate in April. Turning to robots to allow the visually impaired the chance to better indulge in cultural experiences. Like the number of hybrid cars are registered in South Korea has surpassed 2 million with this locally developed Yuri rocket.
Arirang.
Introducing Korean broadcast content that you won't be able to stop watching. For weary modern souls, Dr. Romantic, the quirky genius doctor of Doldam Hospital, prescribes heartwarming tales of humanity. A couple together for 7 years sees their rose-tinted glasses shatter. Can they keep their relationship alive? Discover the raw stories of youth, work, and love. Beyond what social media can show, experience the vibrant Korea through its hidden gems. Mama, the ultimate K-pop festival for global fans. Find your star in a feast of trendy music and electrifying performances. Now, the whole world enjoys it together.
South Korea squared up against South Africa at the FIFA World Cup in Mexico for its final Group A match. Restaurants and pubs turned into cheering zones this morning as thousands of fans gathered to support the national team despite the early morning start. Today, June 25th, marks 76 years since the outbreak of the Korean War in 1950. We look back at how the Korean War is remembered more than 7 decades on. Meet a war veteran who is working to preserve the memories of the conflict for future generations. 2 massive earthquakes have hit a region west of the Venezuelan capital of Caracas. The first, which was measured at magnitude 7.2, was followed less than a minute later by a magnitude 7.5 quake. High casualties and extensive damage are feared, with the U.S. Geological Survey saying the death toll could surpass 10,000. Hello and thanks for joining us on Arirang News. A place in the round of 32 was at stake as South Korea faced South Africa in its final Group A match at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. With fans gathering nationwide to support the Taeguk Warriors, let's go straight to one of the cheering venues in Seoul. Our Cho Young-eun joins us live there. Young-eun, how are supporters reacting there?
Indeed, the South Korea match against South Africa has just come to an end. The game just finished as a loss with a score of 1-0. Supporters here have been applauding the players for their effort despite the disappointments. After a tense group stage campaign, fans are now reflecting on South Korea's performance and looking ahead to what comes next. Supporters here are actually still holding on to hope as South Korea's fate also depends on the outcome of the other Group A match between Mexico and Czechia, where Mexico has won 3-0. Back to you, Eunji.
All right, that was our Cho Young-eun reporting from Seoul. The next round of negotiations between the United States and Iran is expected to begin in Switzerland next week. While both sides appear ready to return to the table, deep divisions remain over Lebanon and nuclear inspections. Our Kim Junho reports.
Technical level negotiations between the United States and Iran are set to resume in Switzerland next week. Pakistan's foreign ministry said Wednesday that the two sides will return to the negotiating table within days after hours of discussions in Bergenstock on Monday. It described the current pause as temporary and said Pakistan and Qatar will continue their mediation efforts. Lebanon remains a key obstacle. Tehran again called on Israel to pull its forces out of southern Lebanon, describing a ceasefire there as essential.
For us, a ceasefire and an end to the war in Lebanon are just as important to us as a ceasefire and an end to the war are to Iran.
Israel, however, says its troops will remain in place. Nuclear inspections have also become a sticking point. The International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA, said it plans to resume inspections in Iran soon to verify the location of the country's highly enriched uranium.
This has been signed, has been agreed. Paragraph 8 of this Memorandum of Understanding says explicitly that the nuclear activities that are going to be carried out with regards to the nuclear material facilities and will be supervised by the IAEA.
Iran, however, denied agreeing to the inspections, while U.S. President Donald Trump told Fox News that American inspectors would join the IAEA mission. Despite the remaining differences, Trump voiced optimism, saying on the same day that Iran was making very big concessions in the negotiations.
As you know, we're winning by a lot. Iran is making very big concessions. We'll see what happens, but it's been very, very, very powerful. It's going very, very well.
He later wrote on Truth Social that Iran had confirmed it would not charge ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz. Secretary of State Marco Rubio also said during his Middle East tour that the strait is an international waterway where no country can charge for passage. Kim Jun-ong, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, global oil prices fell to their lowest level since before the outbreak of the Iran war, as concerns over disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz continue to ease. U.S. stocks closed mixed ahead of key earnings reports, but Micron Technology's stronger than expected results sent its shares surging in after-hours trading. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
Global oil prices fell to their lowest levels since before the outbreak of the Iran war on Wednesday, as concerns over disruptions to shipping through the Strait of Hormuz continued to ease. Brent crude, the international benchmark, dropped nearly 5% to $73.50 a barrel during intraday trading, its lowest level since February 27th. U.S. benchmark West Texas Intermediate fell 3.8% to $70.43 a barrel, briefly dipping below the $70 mark during the session. The decline came after the International Maritime Organization announced that Iran and Oman would begin coordinating a large-scale evacuation of more than 11,000 stranded seafarers through the Strait of Hormuz. The move reassured markets that a key global shipping route could remain operational despite ongoing tensions in the region. Meanwhile, U.S. stocks ended mixed as investors remained cautious ahead of earnings from memory chip maker Micron Technology. Selling pressure continued in technology shares, particularly among artificial intelligence-related companies and other major tech names. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 182 points, or 0.35%, while the S&P 500 slipped 0.1%. The tech-heavy Nasdaq fell 0.43%. Not all sectors moved lower. Airline and travel stocks gained ground as falling oil prices raised hopes for lower fuel costs and improved profitability. After the closing bell, however, attention quickly shifted to Micron Technology. The memory chip maker reported another record-breaking quarter, fueled by surging demand for AI-related semiconductors. Micron said fiscal third-quarter revenue reached $41.46 billion for March to May period, up nearly 446% from a year earlier. The results easily exceeded market expectations and reinforced optimism about continued growth in AI infrastructure spending. Investors responded enthusiastically, sending Micron shares soaring by more than 15% in after-hours trading, which could provide a potential boost for the broader technology sector when markets reopen. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Spot gold prices fell below $4,000 an ounce for the first time since November on Wednesday, as expectations of higher interest rates and a stronger U.S. dollar brought the metal's three-year bull run to a halt. Spot gold dropped as much as 3.8% to below $3,960 an ounce, while silver dropped to below $60 an ounce for the first time since December. Gold had posted double-digit gains in each of the past 3 years and more than doubled in value as central banks and investors piled into the market. However, prices have now fallen more than 20% from their record high reached in January. Korea's stock market rose more than 5% shortly after the opening bell this morning, helped by overnight gains on Wall Street. The benchmark KOSPI opened 2.7% higher at 8,703.42. It then extended gains to more than 5%, triggering a buy-side sidecar. Samsung Electronics rose more than 4% in early trading, with SK Hynix surging nearly 10%. The secondary KOSDAQ also opened about 1.5% higher. The rally follows strong earnings and an optimistic outlook from U.S. memory chip maker Micron Technology on Wednesday. On this day, commemorating the 76th anniversary of the outbreak of the Korean War, President Lee Jae-myung showed his appreciation for the devotion and sacrifices made by war veterans. Speaking at an event marking the anniversary, President Lee vowed to bolster support for veterans and the bereaved families of those killed in the war, calling for extraordinary compensation for their extraordinary sacrifices. He also thanked the UN veterans, adding that their solidarity evolved into today's steadfast partnership with South Korea. He noted that Korea bears a responsibility to repay the debt of gratitude it owes them. He vowed to maintain peace on the Korean Peninsula and keep it free from any concern of conflict. So as South Korea marks June 25th, the anniversary of the outbreak of the Korean War, a veteran now in his 90s shared memories of the battlefield and donated his own handwritten records for future generations. Our Kim Bo-kyung reports.
Private First Class Han Hee-na served in the Korean War as a member of the reconnaissance company under the Armored Battalion of the Capital Division. Born in 1930 in Hamgyeong-bukdo Province, he dreamed of becoming an engineer, but when the Korean War broke out, he fought in the Rock Army, hoping he could one day pursue his dream in a free, democratic country. He has weaved together fragments of his memories from the war that he personally experienced and published a book.
It wasn't just once or twice. I survived many times when I could have died, and even I think it's a miracle that I'm still alive. I believe I faced those moments bravely and fought hard to stay alive. I wanted future generations to learn about sacrificing for their country.
And beyond that, the man, now in his 90s, recently visited the Army Archives Management Group to donate handwritten records of battles he went through. Since 2020, it has been gathering and restoring more than 81,000 Korean War military records, with around 50,000 have been restored to date. The war veteran took a look at the restoration process and thanked the archives for their efforts and for a chance to visit the place.
The records of the Korean War contain the sacrifice and dedication of those who served before us and are an important part of our national heritage. We will preserve these records and pass them on to future generations.
Veteran Han visited the Army Headquarters Hall of Honor and found the name of Staff Sergeant Kim Byung-chil, his superior and comrade who died in his place during the Battle of Sandugoksan, one of the major mountain battles on the eastern front of the Korean War. As he gently touched Kim's name and seemed to recall those days, he saluted with respect, with tears running down his face.
The memories of a war veteran, preserved through his records and writings, can help future generations understand history and reflect on the meaning of patriotism. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News, Karyong.
The 21st Jeju Forum for Peace and Prosperity, which opened on Wednesday on Jeju Island, moves into its main program on Thursday, with world leaders and policymakers gathering to address this year's theme, reinventing cooperation in a fragmented world. The forum, a multilateral dialogue platform hosted annually by South Korea's Foreign Ministry and Jeju Province since 2001, holds its opening ceremony on Thursday, featuring remarks from President Lee Jae-myung and United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres. Sessions throughout the day will tackle artificial intelligence governance, regional security, and multilateralism, including a high-profile dialogue with candidates vying to lead the United Nations. The three-day event takes place as organizers say the world faces deepening geopolitical tensions, protectionism, and the erosion of global institutions. Lovebugs, known for flying in pairs, have returned this summer after causing widespread nuisance last year. With swarms expected to peak this week, authorities are scrambling to keep them under control. Our Shin So-eun has the details.
Deep inside tent-like shelters, swarms of lovebugs and insects fill the air, while piles of dead bugs blanket the ground beneath nearby benches. This is one of the hardest hit lovebug locations, Baekneunsan Mountain in western Seoul, where a massive outbreak occurred last year. After spending the spring in their larval stage, the Korean National Institute of Forest Science said the insects emerged 2 days earlier than last year on June 24th, as this year's unusually warm early summer created favorable breeding conditions. Experts say insects are expanding their range, with larvae newly discovered in northern parts of Gyeonggi-do province, where adult lovebugs had rarely been seen, prompting authorities to shift to response strategies.
Last year, we focused on controlling adult lovebugs after they emerged. This year, we're taking a more proactive approach by targeting them during the larval stage. Alongside testing light, sticky, and attractant traps for adult lovebugs, our laboratory trials found that the mosquito larvicide BTI killed up to 98% of lovebug larvae.
To keep the spread of lovebugs under control, Seoul City is deploying non-pesticide water trucks with around 100 liters to wash them off public facilities across the city, including Baekneunsan and nearby residential areas.
This year hasn't been too bad for me, but in previous years, there were so many lovebugs around my school that it was hard to avoid them.
Alongside Seoul's installation of 1,300 light and attractant-based trap this month, residents are also relying on a crowdsourced online lovebug map. More than 10,000 sightings have been reported this week alone, with users sharing live updates and photos to help others avoid heavily affected areas. With lovebugs now at their seasonal peak, experts recommend avoiding wearing bright clothing and turning off outdoor lights, while authorities focus on long-term eco-friendly ways to manage future outbreaks. 신소은, Arirang News.
A pair of powerful earthquakes has struck Venezuela just seconds apart, and the country's acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, has declared a state of emergency. Officials have yet to confirm a death toll, but a U.S. Geological Survey model warns the number of fatalities could range from 10,000 to 100,000. Park Tae-ryung has the details.
Two powerful earthquakes struck western Venezuela on Wednesday just after 6 p.m. local time, with experts raising fears that thousands of people may have lost their lives. The first, a magnitude 7.2 quake, hit about 160 kilometers west of Caracas. Less than a minute later, a 7.5 tremor brought down buildings, trapping people under rubble and leaving authorities bracing for heavy casualties. Video footage showed emergency workers climbing through the ruins of a collapsed building in the capital as night fell, while distraught relatives sought help for loved ones believed to be trapped. Venezuelan officials have not yet confirmed the national number of deaths or injuries, but the U.S. Geological Survey said high casualties and extensive damage were probable, with an initial model estimating a 44% chance the number of deaths surpasses 10,000 and a 30% chance the figure goes above 100,000. Many Venezuelans were believed to have been at home when the quakes struck, as the country was observing a public holiday. Venezuelan Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello said on state television that the fire department and police had been fully mobilized and urged residents to leave damaged homes and buildings immediately. The U.S. tsunami warning system initially issued a tsunami threat for Puerto Rico and the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and a lesser warning for Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire. But the warnings were withdrawn about an hour later. Meanwhile, a powerful earthquake also struck northern Japan on Thursday morning. According to the Japan Meteorological Agency, the magnitude 6.9 quake occurred off the eastern coast of Iwate Prefecture in the northeastern Tohoku region. The agency said there was no danger of tsunami. Japanese officials said slight sea level fluctuations could occur along the coast, but there was no risk of tsunami damage. Park Tae-ryung, Arirang News.
This is The World Now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. A deadly heat wave tightened its grip on Western Europe on Wednesday, killing dozens, straining power grids, and shutting schools and landmarks as forecasters warn that the extreme temperatures driven by the Omega block could last until the weekend. Britain set a new June record of 36.1 degrees Celsius in southern England, while Paris hit 40.9 degrees a day after France recorded its hottest day in nearly 80 years. At least 48 people have drowned in France while trying to cool off, and 2 young children died in a hot car. The heat killed hundreds of thousands of animals at French poultry farms. Major landmarks, including the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre, also announced early closures. Meanwhile, Italy placed 16 cities on its highest alert. Meteorologists likened conditions to the 2003 heat wave that caused an estimated 80,000 deaths across Europe, warning Europe is warming at twice the global average. France confirmed its first Ebola case on Wednesday in a doctor who recently returned from a humanitarian mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo. French authorities placed the doctor in isolation and identified the 5 passengers seated near him on the flight to France. The French Health Ministry said the risk to the wider European population remains low. The World Health Organization chief urged against panic, saying that fewer than 30 Ebola cases have been detected outside Africa in the past 50 years. Congo's outbreak of the rare Bundibugyo strain has now infected 1,118 people and killed 291, the most confirmed cases within the first month of any Ebola episode on record. Keiko Fujimori will become Peru's first elected female president on her 4th attempt after taking an unbeatable lead with nearly 98% of votes counted on Tuesday. Fujimori narrowly defeated leftist Congressman Roberto Sanchez in a June runoff in one of the closest elections in the country's history. Sanchez has alleged fraud and refused to recognize the result, though international observers said both rounds proceeded normally. The daughter of former President Alberto Fujimori, who governed in the 1990s and was later imprisoned for human rights abuses, has proposed reviving a controversial faceless judges system and closer ties with Washington. Her 5-year term begins on July 28th. Chu Ji-han, Arirang News.
Weather conditions in the morning remained stable, but will become much more active later today. Gangwon-do province could see heavier passing rain with up to 80 millimeters, but the rest of the central regions will get 5 to 60 millimeters. Meanwhile, the East Coast could see some showers of 5 to 10 millimeters. Heavier rains are expected for Ulleungdo and Dokdo Islands. And this afternoon, Seoul will be getting up to 27 degrees Celsius. Daejeon will be topping out at 26 degrees. When it is not raining, skies will be mostly sunny, so please keep your sun protection items handy as well. Once today's showers pass, the weekend looks like it's going to be much brighter. Skies will be mostly sunny nationwide and temperatures will begin climbing once again. Many regions are expected to return to figures in the low 30s, bringing back typical early summer heat.
Now that's all we have for today's noon edition of Arirang News. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Stay tuned.
Across borders, surging forward without limits, Korea. Korean culture has moved beyond a passing trend, becoming a force that colors the world. And perhaps its origins trace much further back into our own history. The true roots where this vast chronicle begin, where the essence of K-power and the spirit of our people are